Guys, welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Kelly and I have a sewing and embroidery business as well as a fabric business. And so if you're into that kind of thing, please hit the subscribe button so you can see all my videos. My hope is to have 1,000 subscribers by this summer. I don't know, it's kind of slow moving, which is fine. I do this for fun. Yeah, so please consider that. It helps me out more than you know. So today today's Saturday, and I'd love to say I don't always work on Saturdays, but it ends up that way quite a bit, mostly because I end up blowing off Friday, so it's my own fault. I just have a couple things to do today, and then I'm gonna run to IKEA with my son. He wants a new bed. He's in desperate need of a new bed, so we're very fortunate we have an IKEA really close. So we're gonna run to IKEA. So I need to finish up a couple of baby blankets. You can see I've got a prom dress back here that needs to be altered. It's a friend. Over the years, I've done some prom dresses, and I kind of am getting away from it. Last year was awesome because of COVID. I know that's terrible. It's a terrible thing to say. It wasn't awesome. Last year was not awesome, but I didn't have to do prom dresses. So I've turned a lot of people down this year, but this is a pretty good friend. It should be an easy fix. But anyway, that's not what we're doing today. Today we're doing baby blankets. Now I've got one done. It is wet because we're gonna use water soluble stabilizer on the back, and you have to soak it to get it off of there. So I wanted to just show you guys how I do these. This is a customer here in town. They dropped these blankets off. There's just 2 of them. So I just have to do one more. But before I did that one, I thought, oh, let me video it so I can show you guys how I do them. Because there are a couple of tricks I've learned along the way that I think really help and really give you really good results. Some people they don't like to do customer dropped off items. I don't really care so much. And I did know that she bought these on Amazon. So, you know, I think they were like $9. So if I screw one up, I can always just get another one by tomorrow and fix it for her. But rarely do I screw something like this up. Which probably means I'm about to do that right now. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys real quick because it is a little bit different just because it's got, you have to pay, you don't want the back to be yucky. And then also you have to pay attention to the fact that it's a little fluffy. If you did it on this side, it would be even harder. So you just have to tell your customers, you know, which side it's going to go on. You have to remind them that they are going to see the embroidery on the back. Now you saw with my other one, we're gonna make it look really nice. So it shouldn't be an issue, but just things to tell the customer before you do it or before you agree to do it. But I'm gonna take you over to the computer and show you a couple little things I do to the actual design to make them nicer. Do I have fuzzies all over my black shirt? I sure do. These blankets, I guess, are really fuzzy. So I'll take you over to the computer and show you a couple little things I do to the design to make it more look nicer on a blanket because again, they are a little bit thicker. So let's go over there. Okay, so we already did Finley, of course, and the next one, there's only 2, but I need to do Ella. Oh my, that's a hot mess, huh? So you have to, with most of your fonts, this is the Stitchtopia Sarah. With most of your fonts, you do have to move stuff around a little bit. So we'll scooch that over. And then you want your L's are a little tough in this font. I don't like, it's like this part isn't quite long enough to get them to where they're not scrunched together. We'll leave that. I don't love it. Let's back up. Let's move this over a smidge. I wonder if we tilted this L a little. Oh, that's better, huh? Just tilting that just a smidge made it look not so scrunchy. Okay, I'm happy with that. Although maybe that over just a little bit. Can you guys hear my husband yelling in the background? We have foster puppies right now, and he's playing with them. Anyway, so if you hear barking in the background, that's what it is. Okay, so her birthday is 3/21. So let's see what that looks like. Now it's probably going to move those dots. Yeah. So I used, I didn't like the dashes. So I used periods, but then you got to move them up to make them like dots. And I just make sure my little squares here are kind of all lined up. So move that dot. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now, so with this Sarah font, because this little loop-de-loop-de thing takes up so much space, your center is kind of weird. So like the center of your E, you know, these squares right here indicate your middle or your center. So the center always kind of looks a little off. So you can line up center, but I don't like that. I don't like the way that looks. I'm going to line it up more kind of under the Ella and let this loop-de-loop-de part be out, you know, out of center. I like that better than centering it. So let's see. Maybe like that. That's pretty good. I still don't love the Ella part with this font, but that's the font we're going with because it's what we agreed upon with the customer. Okay, so here's what I wanted to show you. Now, mine's already set up because I had it with the Finley, but we're going to change a couple things. This is a really well digitized font. It's a great font, but we're going to go to Stitch and look here. Typically, this would be on 0 and this would be on 0. So it looks great, nothing wrong with it. However, when you go to stitch it, it's not going to be as dense or as wide as we want it for such a thick blanket. So if you go to stitch, the comp here, composition, that's how long the actual stitches are. So watch Ella. Watch how it gets thicker and thicker and thicker, right? So we're just going to do it at a 2. So honestly, if we went down to 1, it might make our L's look better. Maybe we'll just keep it at 1. That's not a huge difference between that and 0. Let's look at it again. So there's 0. There's 1. We're a little thicker. Yeah, maybe 2 is a little too thick for those L's. Let's keep it at 1. So again, that's the length of your stitch. So if your satin stitches are this thick, it's now going to make them this long as they go on the machine like this. And then your density, this right here, is how many stitches are in every, you know, millimeter or whatever. And so it just kind of fills it in a little bit better. And so I do like to bump that up. What I have it on 4. You can kind of play around with this a little bit and get you some scrap fabric and just see what all it does. Let's see. Yeah, I'm keeping my satin at like a 4%. So let's make sure Ella is on that. Yeah, Ella is on a 4%. We're going to do her just increase her composition 1. Finley, I did at 2. But I think the L's look a little bit better. So let me just make sure that I like the way this looks. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now we're doing it in a hot pink. You can go ahead and change your color now. I do it on the machine. That's just a habit that I'm in. But you could do it right now too. And my machine is always hooked up to this computer. So I don't use a jump drive. It's our no name is my actual machine. But if you were using a jump drive, you would save it to that. So we're going to save here. And then it should be on our machine, and I'll take you, let's hoop it. So that's a big thing. Let me show you how I hoop it. Okay, so for this, we're going to use 2 different kinds of water-soluble stabilizer, and all that means is that it dissolves in water. And the reason why I like that for baby blankets is because the back of there's no way, well, I guess unless you took the blanket apart and then sewed it back together, there's no way to hide the stitching on the back. And there's no way to hide the stabilizer if you were to use a tearaway. Now, that being said, I have used just basic tearaway in the past, and it's fine, especially if it's just for you or it's for a family member. But this is for a customer, and I want it to look really professional on the back. So I use the Ultra Solvy on the back, and it is really thick. It is not tearaway. We will cut it away, and then we will soak it in water. So this one you're almost always going to use on the back of items. This is your actual stabilizer. Rarely, I've not done it yet, rarely will you use this on top of something. This one, this really thin is what you would use on top of something. So I use it for towels. I use it for fleece or minky. Minky is the word I was looking for. You would use this, and this one just tears away. Sometimes you have to add a little bit of water to get it to totally go away, but it's much thinner. So this one goes on top, and then this is our actual stabilizer. So I love my fast frames or my easy frames. That's what I use for almost everything. I do use a Mighty Hoop for t-shirts, but I have the Jerky Easy frames, and I love them. It was the best purchase for my machine that I ever had. But typically you can see, I've got a lot of residue here. Typically I would use sticky stabilizer. So for this, it's not sticky. So we got to figure out a way to get it on the hoop. Now a couple things here. Mine is a little bit sticky just from all the residue. So that helps us in this scenario. I hear people talking all the time about keeping the easy frames clean. How do I clean them? How do I get the residue off? I never clean them. A lot of times that stickiness works in my favor. But you can see, it's still not appropriate to hoop something. So a couple things you can do. Sometimes I'll take a little bit of double-sided tape and put it on the frame, and that helps keep things in order. This stabilizer, you see I've got some already right there. I think I have a piece. Now let's put a piece down there. I didn't cut it quite long enough. I like it to fold over a little bit, but this double-sided tape will help. So we'll get it as taut as we can. And then all you really need, you could put more double-sided tape here, or you can just get some binder clips. I use binder clips. I use, these are at Dollar Tree right now. So if you have a Dollar Tree, jump on them, because I use those too. Actually, I think these may be from Dollar Tree. I love me some Dollar Tree. So let's just get it hooped. That's pretty much good enough. We've got a pretty good drum sound going there. So then we're just going to take our blanket. And now these clearly are not siblings. I mean, the birthdays are really close together. So I don't need them to be perfectly matched, but just because it's the same customer, I am going to attempt to do that. So what I do is I just kind of fold it in half. You could mark this with like chalk or something. I've had bad luck. I've never really found one that consistently comes off. You could also put a couple pins. So let's do that. We'll do a couple pins to indicate our center line. And then when you put it on your hoop, these little notches on your fast frame are the center line. So I also kind of just pay attention to the corners here. You know, does that look straight? That looks pretty straight right there. So you can do a couple things here too. You can pin it, which is I think what we'll do. You could also use some more clips and clip it. Like we could take one of these and clip it over here. I'm liking the way is that pretty centered? Yeah, that's pretty centered. I'm liking the way the pins are doing. So let's just pin it on there. Now at this time, you could go ahead and pin this down too. So this is gonna go in, sometimes I just throw it on there when it's on the machine. But for purposes of this video, we'll go ahead and do that. So you can go ahead and pin this down too. So again, that goes on top, and after we stitch, it'll just rip right off. And what that does is it raises your stitching just a hair. Now, this blanket, it doesn't have a very high pile. The back does. You would absolutely have to use a water-soluble stabilizer if you were doing it on the back. It's probably a 50-50 shot on the front, so I'm not taking any chances. And I'm putting some on top. So, yeah, that's plenty. So let's take it over to the machine, and I'll show you a couple things we have to do over there. Okay, so as you can see, it's hooped upside down. You want the bulk of your item to be this way of the machine. You don't want to have to cram it back there. So it's hooped upside down. So don't forget to come over here and rotate your design upside down. So we'll rotate that, and then we'll make sure that it is centered. We're gonna come down. I think the last one I did. So the thing with easy frames or fast frames, you have to make sure you're not hitting the frame. Your embroidery machine recognizes it as an 8x12 hoop. So you have to make sure that your little laser pointer is way past this. So we'll center it. We'll make sure that it's not hitting down here. I can feel the center of my hoop. And then we'll stitch it out, and I'll show you what it looks like after that. All right, moment of truth here, coming off the machine. So we'll just remove all of our pins, and then like I said, this top one just rips right off. And if you were just doing this on top and you didn't have the water soluble on the underneath, if you have some little specks in between here, you can just squirt it with a water bottle. We're gonna have to soak it anyway, so I'm not gonna worry too much about that. When we soak it to get the back off, it will remove anything that remains on the front. So, like I said, the water soluble that's on the back, it is not tearaway. So you're gonna have to cut it, and you want to cut as close as you can, because this stuff, it's basically like starch. Like I've seen people will cut away this excess, and then they'll soak it in water and make starch out of it. Y'all, I'm cheap. I'm not sure I'm that cheap. I just throw it away. So cut as close as you can all the way around. And the reason why you want to get rid of as much as you can is because it gets really stiff. And it also would just take longer to soak it all off. And you don't want the stiffness to be all over your blanket. You know, we're going to try to contain it within this little section. So again, I kind of get in between there. Just get as much as you can without ruining your blanket. And then I also cut all of these, you know, since this is going to show, you want to cut your stitches as much as you can. So get all of those off. And then all you do, first of all, let me see. So it looks off center. But again, I think it's more about the font than anything. So I'm going to send it to her and make sure that she's okay with it. But I think it looks nice. I think it'll be fine. So let's peel off a little bit more of that. So all I do is I take a little bit of water and put it in just a Tupperware. You don't want too much water. And then you just sit it down in there. You know, I sit it in like this. And again, you don't want to get, you know, everything sopping wet because it does take a little bit to dry. So that's the thing. If you're in a hurry, this is maybe not the best strategy because you then have to wait for all of this to dry. I might take it and blow dry it a little bit just to make it a little more fluffy, a little more soft, and help it dry a little bit. But basically all I do is, let me show you the other one. Is so after it has soaked, I wring it out a little bit and then I put it on a towel to air dry for a little bit. And then, like I said, I could take a blow dryer to it just to keep it from getting too stiff. Or I guess you could throw it in the dryer. I mean, if you have a dryer at your house, you could throw it in the dryer. And like I did a couple of these for a family member, and I totally forgot to soak it. So I just told her, you know, when you wash it, it'll come off. And it did. It was fine. So, and then when the customer washes it, it'll soften up a little bit. But anyway, that's it, guys, for today. Thank you very much. Again, please hit the like button and subscribe if you had any value in this at all. Also, be sure to check out my fabric store linked below. I have 3 yards of this going out today, and it's going to Hawaii, which makes me oddly excited. So anyway, check it out and let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. And have a wonderful Saturday. Bye, guys.